G'day and howdy from Texas. So this weekend, I watched an interview with a young lady who was in the Howard Springs internment camp with a presenter from Australian National Review. That's anrnews.com if you want to go find it. I don't have his name committed to memory. I'm going to look it up later, but I'm driving, and that's not the best thing for me to be doing right now. But I'm watching this interview with her, and it just so happens, I believe it was her cousin or one of her relatives that were some of the kids that escaped from Howard Springs and were rounded back up and brought back to the facility. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how many people, because I don't remember it reported that, oh, by the way, it wasn't Chad and Brittany that escaped and ran off in their Mercedes to go get lattes. It wasn't the right-wing extremist white supremacists that we're all told are under every rock over here in the United States. No, it was people, it was Aboriginal people. The people that all these self-loathing, white, liberal, globalist, statist-type collectivist people always use as a victim group to say that they're advocates for. And they do this in every country. They do it in Canada. Everywhere that there were people there first and then the British colonized and turned into another country. Pretty much every one of those countries, to some extent, they'll use victim groups to make in my opinion, the self-loathing white globalist people capitulate to government. It's pretty much real simple. And I'm wondering, were they working on, and I heard, backtrack a little bit. One of the shows that I watch, it's called You Are Here. It's a podcast on Glenn Beck's Blaze Network. It's also on YouTube. And one of the hosts' name is Sydney Watson, and the other host's name is Eliza Schaefer. Sydney's half Australian and half American. So they talk about Australian issues a lot, and it's fun to watch. It's a good show. And one of their guests' name was Jack Murphy. Jack Murphy is an American who is an advocate for freedom and Western values and family and God and everything. He had a book called From Democrat to Deplorable, so he's made the jump from that side to the other. And he brought up the point that the hardcore statist collectivist people that are into following all the rules and mandates and doing whatever the state says, they really, truly, in their minds believe, and this is something that I've thought before, but I've had to just really make myself, realize it's really happening. It's like they're really building camps. I've had to make myself realize, and he is right, these people truly believe that it's the white supremacists and the racists that don't want to be forced vaccinated. So I'm wondering, are they playing into the psychology of we'll just report these kids escaped because we have to, but we're not going to say they were Aboriginals. No, we're just going to gloss over that. Kind of like in the United States when there's a shooting and everyone's, salivating over it being some white supremacist so they can use that to further their agenda. Then it turns out it's not. And then it's like, well, how about the weather report? And I'm wondering, is that what they did with that? Because I didn't see any Australian news reports. Maybe there were. I may be wrong. But internationally, from over here, it looks like they just kind of mentioned it and hope nobody would notice that they're rounding up, the equivalent to here would be like if you're rounding up Native Americans, putting them in camps against their will because they don't want to take the white man's medicine. I can't see liberal global citizens thinking that that's okay. So does the narrative of COVID and all that goes with it, is that more important in the statist psyche than victim status? Because I've been led to believe that victim status is the ultimate, it's the ultimate group of people that you cannot, well, certainly you don't want to try out medical experiments on. I believe that violates a couple of laws that we have on the books. But does COVID trump all? Like all other value, the whole hierarchy of values that the collectivist statist globalist people supposedly adhere to, of white people are bad, white people are the problem, white people have built everything they have off of the backs of non-white people. And let's say that's true. How the hell are you going along with all this bullshit? Putting people in camps? So give me some comments, please. I'd like some feedback from my international viewership here. for one, are you of the opinion that you think they were just like, we'll just hope that no one realizes they're doing this to the Aboriginal people? Because I mean, they've put out like international distress messages, like, please come help us. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think they're just joking. Okay, I think this is a little different than like, you know, some leftist group in America that says they're Native American protesting pipelines. Being put in camps is a big jump from like protecting the environment and the typical shit that, you know, we can be convinced into like, well, we need to stop building infrastructure because it might affect some native people somewhere. Okay, we'll go for that. Turn our power off. But now it's like we're going to put the same people who we hold up here as victims in our little social justice hierarchy. We're going to put them down here and hope you don't even realize we're putting them in camps. So give me your thoughts. It's hard. It's a hard one for me to really admit that that's reality. But I really think that like, as much as they believe in advocating for marginalized people, as soon as COVID steps in, they don't give a fuck about those people. They do not give a fuck about those people. And to see this interview with this young lady in this camp, she's not even being like angry about it. She's not being like defiant about it or extremist about it. She just says, you know, hopefully I'll test negative and I can get out of here. And, you know, good on her, I guess, for being optimistic. But, like, if I was in there and I had a phone and an outlet to the rest of the world, I would be saying, this is detention without due process against my will. Where is the response from the international community? But because it's COVID, everyone's brain is just turned into mush. So what are your thoughts?